We're making cauliflower, so the first thing we got to do is break this thing into bite-sized pieces. I don't know how you do yours, but I usually start cutting out from the stem and then look for any big chunks and slice those individually. There's a little bit of discoloration on the broccoli. Don't really care about that. Why do I keep saying broccoli? Cauliflower. It's cauliflower. Anyway, if there's any discoloration on that, don't worry about it. It's going to be covered in sauce anyway, so when it's not spoiled, it's all good. The potatoes play a sort of a supporting role in this dish, so I tend to cut them a little bit small. Small cubes, you might say. As with most Indian dishes, we're going to split our spices into hard and soft. In this case, the cumin seeds are going to go in first, so they have more time to, let loose their flavors. And then we've got a bunch of powdered spices that are going to go in this dish, but they go in at the last second, so we're going to keep them in a whole separate bowl. And this is one of my new favorite spices, Kashmiri pepper. It's a little bit hot, so don't go nuts with it, but it adds a really great richness to the dish and a little bit of fire. I like to use a fair amount of oil for this since the cauliflower is so dry. Unlike onions and some of our other sauteables. I use a good third a cup or so of oil for this, so we give a nice char, nice brownness on them. As typical with Indian food, we're going to put in the hard spices first. Once these sort of sample cumin seeds start sizzling really good, we'll add in the rest of them and really start cooking. It shouldn't take too long before these guys start sizzling pretty good, at which point you can add in all of the powdered spices, give it a good mix, wait for all of those scents to really explode, at which point you can start adding in the cauliflower and such. All we're looking to do with the cauliflower is to coat it well and give it some high heat so it's got a good little crispness to it. And then once those start to brown a little bit, we'll add in our potatoes, stir those into the spices to make sure that they're well coated and have started to take on some of the heat from the pan, at which point we'll add in our liquids. Now, if I was using fresh tomatoes, I would actually put those in now and saute them until they're dry so they're nice and soft. In this case, I'm cheating and using canned pureed tomatoes. Works great, by the way, for this dish. Fresh tomatoes are always better, but so once you give these guys a good stir, I'm going to turn up the heat, get this thing boiling, and we're going to simmer it really hard for a good half hour or so. And this is the kind of simmer I'm talking about. Lots of bubbles, lots of heat. I don't really care for al dente cauliflower, so I hit it pretty hard. And then after about half an hour, you're going to find that you've reduced it down to something looking like a sauce. Once the vegetables are done, you'll want to check it for seasoning, add your salt at this point. We haven't added any whatsoever. I tend to like to do that towards the end of the dish so I don't end up overdoing it when it comes to the sodium intake. In this case, just a couple of pinches and we are good to go.